All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar. Uh, my name is James Drake. I'm Senior Manager of Service Planning for Sacramento Regional Transit, and I'll be presenting today on SacRT Flex. Joining me on the line is several of our team members, including Mr. Alex Newman of VIA Transportation, who's here on behalf of VIA, who is our contractor both for the service and for the app. So I'd like to thank Alex and his team as well for helping us get to where we are today on SacRT Flex. A few little housekeeping items before we begin. There'll be a presentation about 15 minutes, and then we'll do Q&A. The meeting is being recorded, and if you miss anything, you want to check back later, you can go to our webpage, sacrt.com/flex, and you'll be able to find this recording as well as past presentations and other information on SacRT Flex. I'm going to share my screen here so you can get that information too. So before I begin with the presentation here, also at the end we'll do Q&A, and we'd like to ask folks, if you want to ask a question anytime during the presentation here, if you're on Zoom, you can just use the raise hand feature. If you're calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand, and when we call on you, we'll use *6 to unmute you. I'll go over this at the end of the presentation too. But during the presentation, if you want to type in questions as well, that's fine. We do ask folks to use the Q&A feature in Zoom rather than the chat feature. The chat feature should be disabled, but if for some reason the chat feature is available to you, we do ask that you not use that because it can be disruptive to our guests who are visually impaired. So with that, I'll jump into the presentation here. SacRT Flex, as I think most of you know, is basically replacing our SmartRide service. SacRT Flex will be a curb-to-curb microtransit service, meaning you make a ride request and it picks you up and drops you off where you'd like to go. People will usually do that, make their reservations by the app, although a phone option is available for people who prefer that. The service area will be the same 9 zones that we use today for SmartRide, and the days and hours of service will be the same, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It'll be a flat uniform fare of $2.50. No passes or discounts will be allowed on Flex. And reservations will be in advance. That's one key difference between SacRT Flex and SmartRide, is you'll request your rides in advance, up to 2 days in advance. One of the other big differences, and that'll be kind of the focus of today's presentation, is that SacRT Flex is limited to seniors, persons with disabilities, and low-income people or their kids. And they have to go and apply in advance online to become users. So we'll be talking about that a little more. But real quickly, why the changes? SacRT is not alone among transit agencies in having some budget difficulties right now. We get about $800,000 a year in grants for SmartRide, and the annual cost for it is about $8.4 million a year. The SacRT Flex program will cover a lot of the same territory with very similar service, but it'll do it at just $1.5 million. But it is going to be fewer vehicles out there, and it will be smaller vehicles. So we do think that we'll be able to carry only about half as many people as before. And that's really the reason why the service is being limited to just seniors, persons with disabilities, and low income. And it's also kind of the reason why passes will no longer be accepted. Just kind of looking at the timeline here for SacRT Flex and kind of working backward. This is an 18-month project. We have funding and a contract for 18 months. The official launch day will be Thursday, January 2nd. The last day of Smart Ride will be the last day of this year, Tuesday, December 31st. And then New Year's Day, Smart Ride doesn't run, and SacRT Flex won't run either. But January 2nd will be the first day for SacRT Flex, officially speaking. Now, starting next week on Tuesday the 17th, we will be beginning a soft launch period for SacRT Flex. And what that means is we'll be running just a little bit of SacRT Flex service. We'll just have a few vans out there. And this will be a way for customers who want to try it out, kind of take a test ride, get used to how it works, get used to using the app. This will be an opportunity for them to go out and make a test ride while Smart Ride is still out there running. So Smart Ride will be running in parallel from December 17th to December 31st. Earlier this week, our app was released on the app stores for Apple and Google earlier this week on Tuesday. So if you want to go download the SacRT Flex app, it's available right now. However, if you open that app, if you have not yet registered and been approved by SacRT, you really won't be able to get into the app because, like I said, this is a service where you do have to apply, be approved, and register in advance. And that process actually began last week on Monday through our online web portal. And I'll be talking a little more about that. But thus far, we've received, I think, just about 600 applications now and approved a great deal of them. So as I mentioned, the fleet for SacRT Flex will be a little different. The vehicles will be operated by VIA. There'll be a total of 11 vans. All of them will have 3 standard seats and 1 wheelchair space entered from the rear. Who can ride? That's really the focus of today's topic. The image on my screen right now on the right shows what it looks like if you go to sacrt.com/applyflex. This is where you'll go if you want to apply to become a rider. And this shows, like on the first page, the first question it asks is what form of eligibility you want to apply for. So it can be a form of disabled, age eligibility, or low income eligibility. So there's no slide on seniors, but if you're 62 or older, you're eligible to ride SacRT Flex, and most people apply and get approved simply by providing a photo of their state ID, a driver's license or a state ID. If you have a SacRT ID, that works too. Very similar for persons with disabilities. We get a lot of applications where people just send a photo of their existing SacRT disabled ID, which I have an example of on the screen here. And this would just be on the back of your Connect card. If you don't have one of those can be obtained by through customer service at SacRT, and there's details on that online. If you have a disabled placard from California DMV, a photo of that showing the expiration date and the serial number on that is also sufficient. However, the easiest way to apply if you are a SacRT Go paratransit rider is all you really need to do is just put in your contact info and check a box saying that you're a SacRT Go rider, and we'll take your name and info and just verify that you're an existing SacRT Go rider and get you approved. If you are low income, you can apply and be approved for SacRT Flex by just sending us one of several forms of eligibility here. What we're looking for is basically your eligibility letter if you're in CalFresh or SNAP or food stamps, or if you're in CalWorks or TANF, or if you are a participant in Medi-Cal, or a general assistance recipient who has a SacRT DHA pass. You can just send us a photo of that through our online form, and we'll get you approved. And it's basically the same process as well for kids age 13 to 17 who have a parent or guardian who qualifies in that way. So if for minors age 13 to 17, you can get an account and you can ride independently. The way it works is you'll want to have the parent fill out an application. There's a little box here. This is very similar to all the other pages where you just upload a file. So you take one of those forms, one of those eligibility letters or that DHA pass, and upload it in that box. And it should show the name and address and a valid date for the parent. And then you're going to enter the parent's first and last name, date of birth, and phone number. And then when you hit next, it'll go on and ask for all the information for the child who will be riding. So child's full name, contact info, phone number, and any special accommodations needed. So after you've hit submit, we usually tell you it'll be about 1 to 2 weeks that you'll hear from us. Thus far, we've actually been able to turn around most of these applications in just a few days. But if everything looks right on your application, you'll get an email from us saying you're approved, and it'll give you a start and end date for your eligibility and direct you to go to the App Store to pick up the app. If there's a problem with your application, you'll get an email from us, and we usually try to indicate what the problem was. A lot of times people send us a blurry photo or a file doesn't work, and there can be other issues. But it's really easy to address these. You can just email us back. If you'd really like help over the phone, we're also happy to help folks over the phone. We want to get people approved, especially if you have any, disabilities. If you're visually impaired or learning disabilities, we're happy to help you over the phone. The best way to reach us really is still to call 321-BUS. That's 321-2877. And you can get general information there on SacRT Flex. But if you want help with your application, just ask for that and we'll transfer you over to our SacRT Flex team. So once you've been approved, the next step will be to go to the App Store. The app is just called SacRT Flex, and you can find it in there right now. The first time you open it, you'll get this nice little screen and a button that says Get Started. And the first thing it'll ask you for is your phone number. And when you enter that, if you've been approved and your number is in our system, it'll take you to a pretty standard looking screen, just showing a map of the area with little highlights where the eligible zones are. If you've ridden SmartRide, it'll look very familiar. And really it behaves much like Google Maps or Apple Maps or any other kind of wayfinding apps, where you tell it where you'd like to be picked up and where you'd like to be dropped off, and it helps arrange a ride for you in that way. Now, if you haven't yet applied or been approved, if you enter your phone number, it's going to tell you your number isn't yet in the system. And folks who applied just within the last 24 hours or so may have gotten approval letters, but may not yet be in the system. Going forward, we're probably going to tell people that their eligibility kicks in a few days after approval, because there can be a little bit of lag time between our team approving someone's eligibility and it getting in the system. So bear with us a little bit during the soft launch period. But if you've been approved, even if it is a couple days lag, you will be able to get in here and play around with the app. Of course, you won't be able to request a ride until December 15th. But starting on Sunday, December 15th, we'll begin to take ride requests for that soft launch period. And the first day of operation will be December 17th. A little bit more on those reservations. Like I mentioned, this is a book in advance service only. The reason for that is, like I said, our capacity per day will be a little bit less than it was under SmartRide. We think we'll only be able to carry about half as many riders. By limiting eligibility to the program just to certain populations, we do think that'll be about right to balance things out. But to be on the safe side, we initially are going to operate this with advanced bookings only, just to make sure people have certainty about whether they'll get their trip or not. We had some concern with same day or on-demand reservations that people may, get a trip to their doctor, but may not be able to get a return trip home. So we wanted to let people know one way or another, yes or no, in advance if they have their trip request. And if we don't have capacity, they can try to find other arrangements or shift the time to their appointments or what. There's a little more detail on this slide on some of the specifics of making a ride request. But I think I'll skip over that and let us jump to questions. To recap a little on questions, if you're on Zoom, just hit the raise hand button and we'll try to call on you in the order we see those received. If you're on the phone, press *9 to raise your hand. We won't be able to see your name, but when it's your turn to speak, we'll identify you by your phone number or the last several digits, at which point you'll be able to press *6 to unmute yourself and pose your question. Out of respect to everyone else, we'd like to ask people to kind of keep questions to 1 or 2 minutes so everyone gets a turn to ask. If you have follow-up questions, of course, that's fine if you don't mind getting back at the end of the line. Once again, SacRT.com/flex is the homepage for this. You can find all the resources and information. 321-2877 is our general number for information, and you can always call there for help or to be directed. And you're also very welcome to email me personally. My email is my first initial J and my last name, Drake, DRAKE, @SacRT.com. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can jump over to the Q&A management. But I'd like to thank everyone for joining in and your interest in this program. All right. First person I see on my queue here is identified just as Pacific Housing. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, James. This is Marie Fournier from Pacific Housing. Real quick, we're a nonprofit who has been purchasing bus passes for our seniors at our affordable apartment communities in Sacramento. So through SacRT Go, we purchased the bus passes for them and then provided them to them. With this new program, is there any option or opportunity for us to still continue to pay for the rides for our residents without them having to pay for them?
There isn't yet, but I love the question because I think that's a capability that would make sense for us to build in. Certainly right now, it'll be just $2.50, either cash or paid by a credit or debit card through the app. So I suppose in theory, if it works for your agency, if it's considered, accountable and functional, you could in theory issue, prepaid debit cards to clients and pay that way. And I might be curious to know if that works for you guys. If so, that might be the path of least resistance. But yeah, if not, I do think it probably would make sense for us to find some way to help agencies like yours help clients pay for their service. So thank you for that question. And I might ask you, you're welcome to follow up with me separate if you want to talk on that.
That'd be great. We'll send you an email.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Next person I see is on the phone with a number ending in 9689. If you'd like to go ahead with your question. Phone number ending in 9689. You're good to talk. Do you have a question?
Yes, hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. Is it permissible to use the Connect card to ride SacRT Flex?
Sorry, I had a little difficulty hearing you. Could you state your question again, please?
Can you use the Connect card to pay for fare on SacRT Flex?
No. Okay. Can you use a Connect card? Connect cards are not accepted right now on SacRT Flex.
Okay. Also, can I use a utility cart on board?
Oh, can you bring a cart on board? We
Yes.
have capacity for like walkers, so I think a cart would probably be fine. Although I don't know that I can answer that definitively. That may be something I'll need to check with our contractor on.
Okay. Also, I pre-registered and was approved. Do I have to submit an additional application?
If you've received an email from us saying that you're approved, then
Yes.
the next step for you is to download the app.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome.
Okay, next question is from Jillian. Jillian, go ahead. Jillian, you're
Sorry,
on
I
mute. Oh,
didn't,
there you go.
yeah, I forgot to
No
unmute.
problem.
So all right, a lot of us don't have smartphones and get confused when you start talking about apps. So you have to have one?
You don't have to have a smartphone to use the service. We will have customers who have just plain cell phones, and that's fine. There will be a call-in number. I don't have the call-in number posted on the website yet, but we will post that number on the website, and you'll be able to book a ride by calling in that number. I think most of our users will probably use ordinary cell phones, but in theory, if you want to call via a landline, that will work as well.
Okay, thanks.
Very welcome. Thank you, Jillian. Next question is Miguel Pena. Miguel, go ahead with your question. Miguel, it looks like you're still on mute, sir.
All right, sorry. Can you hear me now?
No problem. Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
So thank you for taking the time to take my question. So my first concern is a long time ago I applied for paratransit, and it just you have to pre-order it in advance, and I'm a dad, I have kids, and that just doesn't work for me. Because it's everything's, you have to pre-order. Then when Smart Ride came along and it's on demand, I was able to take my kids to school and able to go grocery store, the pharmacy, whatever I need to do. I use Smart Ride on a regular basis. Then, with my monthly disabled pass, it doesn't cost me anymore. It doesn't eat into my budget. And, I can take the train, the big bus, and, just, whatever. So now this new flex is going to be like paratransit, where you have to pre-order it in advance. I'm no longer even on your guys' registry because I never used paratransit. I've been just using, Smart Ride. And then my other concern, is you guys are making this a select service for people with disabilities, people that are elderly, and then children of low income and low income people in general. But it's a program that's requiring, and I remember in the beginning when you said, it's a premium ride, so it's going to have a premium price, and I heard all that, and I get that. But for people like us, we live on fixed incomes, people with disabilities, elderly people, people that are low income, qualify for low income, everybody they live on a fixed budget, and this is going to be a huge financial burden on people like that and people like us. So I'm still going to have to buy the monthly bus pass, because I already know that this service isn't going to be able to accommodate me, for my daily needs and so on. I would also like to pose the question to you and to others that are that drive vehicles and don't use public transportation. Try to schedule your life 2 days in advance and 1 day in advance. You don't know if you're going to need milk or eggs or bread or what have you 2 days in advance. And the on-demand function of Smart Ride was one of the best, features of it. Anyways, I think those are my grievances in general. So let me sum it up real quick. The on-demand feature is an issue. So I don't see Flex being something I'm going to be able to use. The fact that you're charging extra money, cash or debit card, to ride the ride, for people like us that are on a fixed income that that just makes no sense. And I get it's a premium ride, so you don't have to tell me that again. I understand that. Um, and I guess that that's it. So now I'm gonna have to sign up for paratransit again. I got to go over to make a doctor's appointment. Got to wait for the doctor to fill out the application. Doctors are submitted, and you guys to get me in the system and so on before I can even use paratransit. I'm not happy about using paratransit. The system's already bogged down as it is. They're going to be inundated with people utilizing their system. So I mean, I don't know why anybody would use Flex if paratransit's available. You got to pay for it either way. So paratransit has no barriers or limitations geographically. Just you can go all across town, and you have to pre-order it in advance anyway. So, anyways, I see complications and difficulties for you guys. I wish you the best, and I hope things do work out. And maybe, like you said, they may open up to on-demand service inevitably, and when they do, then I'll look forward to that time and perhaps utilizing Flex. And I know my time's almost up, so thank you again.
Thank you for joining in and sharing your feedback, Mr. Pina. I think I'll go next on the phones to number ending in 9689. Number 9689, if you want to pose your question. We're not hearing you. Phone number ending in 9689. Do you have a question?
I already asked the question. I was asked to unmute for some reason.
Oh, okay. We can go to the next person then. Next person I see is Rose. Rose, if you want to ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So you did mention earlier, and please correct me if I'm wrong. You did say credit or debit card through the app. So then I would have to upload that information onto the app, right? So that way my ride is already paid for when it comes to pick me up.
Yeah, it's kind of like yeah, you'll just load your credit or debit card into the SacRT Flex app, and then you can pay for your ride through your card saved that way.
Okay, there's not going to be some sort of an issue possibly of where I might be double charged or anything like that?
James, I'm happy to jump in if you like. Hey Rose, thanks for your question on payment. That's a good question people ask a lot. You won't actually be charged for your ride until after the ride is marked completed. So we do ask you to obviously upload your card to the app so that we have that stored, and you can pay for it, but you won't actually get any charge until the ride is completed. So if you canceled it or it changed, then the charge wouldn't go through.
Okay, so it's working very much like an Uber would. So I don't pay for that ride until like you said, until it's completed.
Exactly.
Okay, great. I do have another question, but I think I'm gonna have to email you, Mr. Drake, because there was a complication with my son's application and my application. We finally were both approved, but because I put my telephone number and my email address with my son's account because of his autism, it's when I uploaded the app this morning, everything was under my son's name and not under mine. So I figured I'd just email you that so that way you can help me go through the process and figure out how to get our two accounts going.
Sure thing. Yeah, feel free to reach out, and yeah, each phone number is just one account. So you know, if you have multiple people using that, if your son will sometimes be writing it, but it's sometimes you, we can make a note in your file so we know that it may be either of you.
Okay, yeah, because the majority of the time it's going to be me so I could get to work. But until I can get the chance to fully explain it to him and how the app works and what he would need to do, that's why I generally put things under my email and my telephone number until I have that opportunity to sit down and go through it with him multiple times before he, understands it.
That makes sense. Okay. We'll
Okay.
we'll look for that message from you, Rose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the phones, I have Lane. Lane, if you want to state your question.
Hi. I think I stated it a couple times in the Q&A, but I had a couple questions and brief ones. I just wanted to know, so my understanding then is that if I book 2 days in advance, I still may or may not actually get the ride.
Yeah, requests can be placed as early as 2 days before. There is, of course, limited capacity. So, the earlier you make your request, the more likely you are to get it. If we don't have any available vans at the time you request, you'll be told that there's not a van there. We'll look in a window of about an hour for a possible slot for you. And if we don't have anything then, you're welcome to submit a request for a different time slot.
Okay, which brings me to my next question, which is I am commuting. So this is not an appropriate thing to use for work then.
You said you're commuting? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, yeah. So if I needed a daily way of getting somewhere, I would not be able to use this. I heard another user talk about paratransit is still available as a separate thing. Is that so?
Yeah, certainly there are no changes to our SacRT Go paratransit.
Okay.
As far as SacRT Flex goes, I mean, as long as you're approved to use the service, there's no prohibition on using it for getting to work. But yeah,
Okay,
you
excellent.
may find that it's not optimal for you for that. Certainly
Okay.
as mentioned, it's the eligibility and capacity is a little limited. And
Okay.
one of the reasons we've limited it to seniors, disabled, and low income is kind of try to help our most vulnerable populations, people who
Sure.
really
So
need it
I'm
to get to the doctor or whatever.
So I'm disabled, low income, and I am just getting back to work via a volunteer position. So I definitely qualify, I'm pretty sure. It's just a matter of shall I be taking this or paratransit to be sure that I can get to where I'm going. That's
Gotcha.
the matter. Yeah, that's what I have to consider, I guess. What would be your input if you have any?
I mean, if you haven't already applied, I'd invite you to go fill in an application at sacrt.com/applyflex. And during our soft launch period here, starting December 17th, I'd invite you to just test it out and see how you
Sure.
like it.
Cool. Thank you
I
very
mean,
much. That
certainly
sort
if
of
it works
answers my
well for
question.
you,
Yeah.
the fare is less than I mean, SacRT Go will be $5, right? So this could save you some money if you find that it works well for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling in. Next on the calls is Danitra. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but go ahead with your question.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Denitra. Give me one moment. I was multitasking. I was just back. Okay. I think I had similar concerns as the other callers. So I'm currently on medical leave, and I'm very limited. My mobility is very limited, and I also have 2 children who need to go to the school. Granted, they can get on the bus for free. Unfortunately, we're in like a desert bus zone. The buses run once an hour. They got to be at school before 8. So they had been using Smart Ride. Well, the older one will request a ride and the younger one will ride with them. But with this new program, um, I wanted something where I can ride as well, um, that I can afford, because a budget of transportation of anything right now on medical leave is almost near impossible to come up with. So I was thinking this was something that if it was for low income, that it would be based off our income, or something that we can apply when we can more easily afford, to be able to utilize and get to like doctor's appointments and things like that. Um, and of course, my children at school. So I'm looking at how is this something that we can afford, because there are some programs that help financially, or at least discount a Connect Ride. But then you also said Connect Ride doesn't apply to this, and that children of low income families can also ride. But um, if I just want to make sure that if I'm unable to ride because there's no financial means for me to ride, can my two children ages 15 and 12 go without me? Um, I have a few more, but those are the two major ones. If you're able to answer those, if possible, I can email you more.
Sure. You do have to be at least age 13 to ride independently, to have your own account and book rides on your own. Um, Kids who ride independently are subject to the standard fare of $2.50 each. Um, and two kids can ride together. One is a companion to the other one, each paying a fare. Now, if you are riding with one or both of your kids, your kids do ride for free when they ride with you. So if you qualify and enroll on low income, and then when you make a ride, you would pay your 250, and you could bring either of your kids. It goes all the way up to age 17. They ride for free when they ride with you.
Okay, so it'd be like 250, like in order for them to get to school, it would be like me requesting the ride for the 250 price, and then all three of us will end up at that particular location. So they can all go to school. They go to school nearby each other, so we would probably just pick a school. But I would have to be the one to be in the car with them in order for them to um, take that trip. Is that correct?
Yeah, until your younger child is 13, he really can't ride independently. So
Mhm.
that would be a situation where, under our policy, he'd be riding only when attending you or another, adult who's eligible to ride. And it would actually be less expensive too, because they could all ride under your fare for $2.50, just one fare for the three of you.
That sounds great. It's just with my medical disability, that is one of my hindrances because it does limit my mobility. Is there any way for the older sister, she's 15, could she be the companion, or she could pay her the 250 and then the younger sister can ride with her?
You know, that's something we've talked about a little. Right now, no, they'd each be riding independently, each paying, if they're riding independently, they'd each be paying a fare. And I'm sorry, I forgot if the younger was a son or daughter, but if the younger child was not yet 13, they wouldn't be allowed to ride as a companion of an
Hmm.
older. You need to be 18 or over to bring someone under age 13 with you. But
Okay.
you know, we maybe have some kind of uncommon cases here that you're bringing to light that we've talked about a little bit. And we're still just in the infancy of this program. It hasn't even started soft launch yet. So I really appreciate you sharing this case with us. And I would invite you to email me or call me, and we can talk through some of the details of this too. I think this would be helpful for our team to review some of these use cases.
Um, Thank you. And do you guys foresee like uh the possibility of being able to apply, especially if you're low income, for assistance with these rides?
You know, that's not something we've discussed yet. I mean, if you're not low income, you're not eligible to use the service at all. So yeah, I think the context here is maybe worth sharing. I mean, as I mentioned in the presentation, RT is just facing a pretty serious budget challenge. We're not alone among transit agencies. Most transit agencies are facing that. So we're in a position where we do have to cut things back. So the
Mm.
Smart Ride program, just we're the special funds that we're getting for that really only cover about 10% of it. We were initially we initially looked at perhaps just giving Smart Ride customers vouchers or discount codes so that they could take an Uber since they wouldn't have Smart Ride anymore. But you know,
Oh,
we looked at that, and even if we gave people $5 or $6 to ride Uber, the average cost of an Uber is like probably $13 or $14 to do the kind of trips that most people do with Smart Ride. So even giving people $5 or $6 off that, it would still be like, you know, an $8 out of pocket cost. So this, I mean, this certainly, the fare is going up a little bit, but and this is going to cost SacRT a little more than that voucher program would have cost. But we're hoping that this kind of helps bridge the gap for people and eases the burden a little bit with Smart Ride, unfortunately, having to be wound down.
okay. I'll just say this one real quick. Is it going two things real quick? Is it going to be the possibility? Let's say I apply, we get approved, myself and the older daughter. Um, when we use this, is there something like we purchase some amount? Let's say we budget $100, which would have cost a monthly bus pass for me, and we utilize that $100, for these trips. Is it just we can just load it on there? Like a Connect card, and then throughout the month we're here 250 here, 250 there. Does it work like that, or is it something that will charge us a card each time?
We, you be if you're not paying with cash, your form of payment would be a credit or debit card. So whether it's a credit card, you pay the bill every month, or a prepaid debit that's loaded with a fixed amount, you'd need some form of payment card like that that would be loaded into the app, and then yeah, it would be charged the 250 for your ride each time your ride is completed.
Mm, okay. Okay. And then my last thing is, um, I'm in the Del Paso Heights area. My doctor's is off of, or the specialist is off at Eastern. Is Smart Ride, is this something that would be compatible if I needed to go to the doctor's last minute, like I had to book it a day in advance, from where I'm at? Would that still work with the Smart Ride program?
I'm not totally sure I'm following the question. I mean, with SacRT Flex, you do need to book the day before. We'll take requests up to 7 p.m. on the day before. If your destination is within the zone for Smart Ride, if you're using Smart Ride today to get there, then it'll be in the zone for SacRT Flex. It'll have the same boundaries as Smart Ride.
Oh, okay. So if I'm in one zone and I need to get to another zone, how does that work?
Similar to Smart Ride, you'd have to make a transfer. You know, a lot of people, and we kind of encourage people to take Smart Ride, or in this case, to take SacRT Flex to somewhere where they can catch a full-size bus or catch the light rail on a regular schedule. But if you're going from an area without a bus to another area without a bus, and the only
Yeah.
way to get to them is by two different Smart Rides, today you have to go to kind of a shared boundary or transfer point and then request a second Smart Ride. It would be the same with this. You'd need to, you know, place your request for the first leg of your trip to the kind of the common transfer point, and then if that's accepted, place a second request for your next trip on your next SacRT Flex vehicle. And if you get accepted for that and have them both, then that'll work for you. If the second leg isn't available, you may want to cancel your first one, of course.
Mm, I see. So my point A to point B would end up costing me $5 instead of the $250, just to be clear.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to Smart Ride in that you pay a fare for each leg. But yeah, the fare would be $250 for each leg. And I suspect right now you're paying just $1.25 for each leg.
Well, I was with the program, and what they did was load money on a Connect card. And so that's how I was able to go until they just recently ran out of funding. So I was thinking this would be something similar where I wouldn't have to go through a third party. That's what I was under the impression of.
Yeah, no Connect card right now, just cash or credit and debit.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your help, sir.
You're very welcome, Denitra, and hope I was able to answer most of your questions. If not, do feel free to reach out via email. I'm going to go next to phone number ending in 8742. If you want to unmute with *6, we can take your question.
Yes, hi, hello, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so a couple of questions. First one is the test rides for the soft launch for this month, are they free?
Not in general, although your first 2 rides as a customer, when you first enroll, we'll give you 2 rides for free just to try it out. But apart
Okay.
from that, yeah, it will charge the normal fare of $2.50.
Even though it's during the soft launch still?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of thought about making it for free because it is a little bit of a trial period for people to get used to it.
Right,
But
right.
you know how people are with free things. We were a little afraid if we said it's free, we could be inundated with people, and then people might be complaining, I can't get a ride, you know. So yeah, we
Yeah,
said we probably should just charge the regular fare.
right, okay. And then my other question was, if I have a Connect card and I load cash value on there on a regular basis, can I use that to upload on the app where it asks for the payment method? So whenever I complete a ride, it'll just deduct it from my Connect card where I have cash value on there.
No Connect card integration right now on this. It's a separate service, just with credit or debit.
Okay.
Certainly, we've been getting a lot of questions about it just on this webinar alone. And
Yeah.
I will say that, you know, our Connect card system, it's getting to be a little old. We are doing a project right now to kind of upgrade it to sort of a next generation sort of program.
Okay.
You know, it's not like that's going to happen tomorrow, and it's probably not going to
Right.
happen the next day, but it is on the horizon. And so integration with that is something that might be coming down the line.
Oh, okay. So just cash or then pay with the credit card, right? There's those 2 options.
Yeah, just cash fare, and to be sure, just like on the bus, it's an exact fare of $2.50.
Right.
Drivers can't make change, or you can just do credit or debit through the app.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's all the question I had for now.
All right, thank you so much. We'll go
Thank you.
next to Michelle Baker.
Okay. Sorry that I'm late, you guys. I had some other stuff to do. I was busy, but I'm here now. So, my question is regarding the flex now, when you book your reservation, like to get picked up, do you have to call, like once they drop you off, do you have to call them to pick you up from where you drop you off, where they dropped you off at and then come back home? Or do you have to do it all at one time when you book it? You have to do it all day in advance.
You have to do it in advance. So
Just like the paratransit.
if you want to make a round trip, yeah, you need to book and get accepted for both your trip out and your return trip.
Okay, and another thing I wanted to inform you guys, I probably already told you this, but I have autism, so I qualified for the Flex. I've already applied for it last week, and I downloaded the app too yesterday. And so I'm pretty much prepared. That was just that question. And I'm also on low income, so this will be helpful for me.
Well, I'm glad. I'm so glad to hear that you've
Yeah.
applied and were able to get the app. And thank you for your question.
And not only that, but since it's going to be $250 in and out, I'm not going to be able to take the flex every day because I don't have money like that. I don't have $5 to pay every single day. So I'm only going to do it. I'm only going to use the flex when it's absolutely necessary. Other than that, probably going to just keep using the big bus from now on, where I can pay $1.25 since every time I use it, every time I take the bus, because I have a Connect card that I use to catch the bus. I have a disabled Connect card as well.
Understood. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing, Michelle.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'll go next to Gail Morgan. Gail, go ahead with your question.
Just a quick one. Can I use the Zip Pass app for that also?
So ZipPass will not be integrated with SacRT Flex either. Initially, it'll just be cash or credit and debit through the VIA app. But if you're using ZipPass, I suspect you probably already have a credit or debit card saved in there. So you will have to do the step of adding it into the SacRT Flex app. But other than that, it should be very similar capabilities.
Okay, I use ZipPass and I use the Connect card. So ZipPass for paratransit, Connect card for the regular buses. So it'll work. It'll work. There are times when I'll need to go to the doctor in the downtown, midtown area. So that'd be a good route for me. Thanks, James.
I'm glad to hear that it'll work. Thank you, Gail. And yeah, the kind of the next generation of Connect card that I alluded to on the previous question, we're looking essentially to kind of integrate the Connect card capabilities with the ZipPass capabilities. So it's kind of one and the same program. So thank you again for your question. I'm going to go to the written Q&A here. First question here is from Anonymous. When calling to schedule a ride, what do they ask for? Code name or what? I mean, you will have to be enrolled and registered. Phone number is the main thing we use to identify people. So you'll still have to apply, even if you're not using a smartphone, if you're calling in. But we can identify you by your phone number, although probably most commonly we'll just ask for your name. And, unless there's somebody else with the same name, that'll probably be fine to book you your ride. A question, does the $250 have to be the exact amount? Can we get change? $250, yes, does have to be the exact amount. Drivers won't be making change. Question from Megan. What languages is the app available in? So the app itself is in English and in Spanish, and whatever settings your phone is on, it'll automatically present in those languages. If there's a different language used by you or someone you know, please do let me know. It's not free, but our provider does have the capability to add additional languages. And if there's some value to a significant number of our customers, that's something we can look into. And just a comment from Carla saying thanks for taking the time to do this. Well, thank you for tuning in. I see one more hand here on the live questions from Rose again. Rose, go ahead with your question.
Yes, hi. Thank you for taking me again for a second time. Now, I'm a more recent transplant from New York City, and my Connect card is, I pay per ride. I don't use the Zip Pass, or I don't buy a monthly pass because it's just not conducive to the amount of time that I do use it to go in and out from work. Is there any way when you're doing the new upgrade to the Connect card that maybe you could put that sort of a feature in, that it's just a pay per ride? So in that way it's just maybe more easily integrated to the Flex ride?
I suggest you're saying that you don't ride enough to justify like a monthly pass?
Correct, because I live in Folsom and we only just recently at the very end of August started having buses run on the weekends. The bus used to only run Monday through Friday and it ends at 7 p.m., almost like the same time as the Smart Ride. So I didn't find it a value to buy a monthly or even a semi-monthly. What I do is that I just budget it out and put in the amount of my Connect card, and I just pay per each one of my rides. It's actually lasted me a little longer that way, as opposed to doing 50 or $100. I think it is for the monthly pass. I'm not too sure, but it's worked out for me better this way. So I was just wondering, because they have features like that back in New York City where we used to call it a Metro card. It's called a nominee card now, where you can either pay per ride, have a monthly, have a semi-monthly, or you have a monthly and an express bus option. So I was just wondering, with these upgrades happening to the Connect card, if maybe features like that could be put in, so that way it just makes it easier maybe to use on, for Smart Flex, for SacRT Flex, forgive me.
You should be able to do it either way. And right now on Connect Card, you should be able to load a monthly pass or just load a cash amount and deduct from that cash purse every time you ride. Similar with Flex, you can buy with the Zip Pass, you can buy $2.50 tickets or $1.25 tickets, or you can buy a monthly pass. Either way, those are both options now, and I'm reasonably confident both of those will continue to be options when we do the new Connect card.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling in. I'm not seeing any more hands raised. It looks like maybe one more question in the text Q&A that I'll field. But don't be shy. If your question hasn't been asked or answered yet, please do once again raise your hand in Zoom, or press *9 on your phone to raise your hand. I'll go now to the text question here from Marcia. Once a ride is scheduled, is there a time window that it arrives? For example, if I need to be picked up at 10 a.m., will the ride be there at 10 a.m. or will it be between a certain time? Certain current Smart Rides are fairly accurate for pickup time. So yeah, if 10 a.m. is your desired pickup time, when you make your request, you'll say you're allowed to say either a time you'd like to be picked up or a time you'd like to arrive. And then when you submit that request, the system will go in and look within a window. I think it'll be plus or minus 30 minutes, so an hour total. And if there's a slot anywhere within that window where we can give you a ride, you'll get a message back from the app or over the phone saying we can give you a ride at this time. Is that okay? And that will be, at that point, you can accept that or deny that. If that slot really doesn't work for you, you're welcome to decline that. But that's the window we'll usually provide you with. So if you really have to be picked up no later than 10 a.m., you may want to request like 9:30 a.m. so that you get an offering sometime between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. And likewise, it works the same if you want to base it based on your arrival time and so forth for the return trip. And in event that I said any of that wrong, Alex from VIA is our expert on this, but hopefully that makes sense. Alex, did I get that right?
That was perfect, James. Correct.
Okay, so I did one thing right today. I'm thrilled. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any more hands raised here, nor questions in the Q&A. Oh, there's Rose again. Okay. Rose, go ahead. Another question.
Since the timing was brought up, I'm curious to know, since the service starts at exactly 7 a.m., if I wanted a 7 a.m. pickup, is that possible?
I think you'd want to request for 7 a.m. and our policy would be, we'd present you with an offering, if available, sometime between 7 and 7:30. Alex, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So the earliest window will, give you a 30-minute window if there's a time slot, would be 7 to 7:30. And then the day of your ride will send you a more accurate ETA once your vehicle is on the way.
Okay, great. Because I was just curious about that because I try to take the earliest ride as possible. I'm supposed to be at work by 7:30, but if I get to work at 7, it's still okay for me. But I just wanted to see, since the service starts at 7, is it still a possibility to get something at 7? But I see that it is. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, and if you made your request the day before or 2 days before, you'd be confirmed at that time when you accepted your ride. We would then also, the night before, you'll get a reminder at about 8 p.m. reminding you of your trip. And then you'll get reminders the day of, like 30 minutes before. And then as it gets closer to your pickup time, like 5 minutes before, you'll get another notice to kind of keep you advised as schedules work out during the day. I see one more question from Miguel. Miguel, go ahead.
So then, what about if you book a ride to come back and you gotta do it all in advance, and they change the pickup time that you're expecting, and you're not there yet. You just missed the ride, and do they charge you for that? And then
Yeah, so
yeah, go ahead.
but yeah, if you book a round trip today to take tomorrow, and you get to your destination, and then you find that schedules change, your appointment runs long, or it's going to run long, you would go in to the app or call in and try to change your return trip time. You can't request a new trip the day of, but if you have a trip that's already booked, you can request changes to that trip on the same day. The thing is, we won't necessarily be able to make those. It'll depend on if we have a slot to move you to. So if we're not able to get you the new trip that you requested, then you'll have to try to make the one that you're already scheduled for, or we would, at a minimum, we'd ask you, if you can't make it, to just cancel that trip. And we haven't discussed yet, what the policy will be on late cancellations or no-shows. But, certainly we may have provisions at some point for late cancellations and no-shows where it could lead to, suspension of service or those kinds of things, because that can pose a barrier to other folks who are trying to ride.
Then I have another question. So where I live is a huge complex, and I live on the far side of the complex, and the exit and entrance to the complex is, like I said, on the other side of the complex. Right now, currently, the Smart Bus comes into the complex, if the gates are open, and then they're able to exit. It's got a huge turnabout for them to be able to do that. Will Flex do that also? I know when they have somebody from Extra Board that doesn't know me or doesn't know the complex, or they'll just pull up out front on the street and sit out there and then no show me because I'm not there. But the whole time I'm sitting there waiting at the pickup spot that I normally get picked up at, and then I try to call in quickly because it says your ride is here, and I'm like, oh, by the time I call them, they've already no showed me. But that only happens like with Extra Board people. In Flex's regard, I'm blind, so I don't know when they're there, when they're not there, and I need them to find me. I can't find them. That sort of thing, would they be able to, identify, is there something that's going to identify me as being blind? Like the next passenger is blind. You can't see them. I don't use my cane on the streets on purpose. I've been robbed like 3 or 4 times. The cops can't help me because I don't know how many there were, which way they went, if they got in a car or a truck, what ethnicity they were. And then the cops always tell me, well, we're really sorry, sir, but we can't help you because you didn't give us any information. Well, if I had information to give you, I would. So I just learned to get around without my cane. I only use my cane when I'm inside of a business or a doctor's office or a bank or something. That way I don't knock over stuff or run into people. But other than that, I learned to just navigate without a cane. It's not easy, but I do it. So I won't be standing out there with a cane because I don't want people to know that I'm visually impaired. I don't want to become a victim again. So those are concerns that, I don't have with Smart Ride. That, they know me. If I'm not, sometimes I think I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I'm not. I'm like in the middle of the parking lot, and I thought I was where my pickup, was, or the address that the phone identified me at wasn't exactly right. But they'll still look for me and they'll find me, and which is awesome. It's like, and I see those concerns, and amongst all other life's concerns, there's a whole nother thing you have to deal with. Anyways, that's it. I'll let it go from there. I just thought I'd pose those questions to you at the end. So in the complex, would it be able to come in and pick me up like Smart Ride does, or do they want me to leave the complex and go outside the gate, which is rather difficult for me? Then what's the other question? Will there be something identifying me as being blind? If the time schedule changes, you kind of answered that. So yeah, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Drake, and thank you everybody else. Good luck.
Sure thing. Thank you, Miguel. Yeah, we certainly will have in your profile that you're blind. That's information that is provided to us when customers apply. So when you do your application on sacrt.com/flex or /apply flex, it'll ask a series of questions about special accommodations you need, including if you use a white cane, if you're blind. So whatever you provide for an answer there, that'll go into our system. If status changes too, that can be updated, and that helps us accommodate our customers. I may turn it over to Alex for some of the particulars on, pickup and procedure for, kind of off of public streets. We typically avoid that with Smart Ride, but Alex would probably be best to field that one. I think he maybe had to go. He was on the move right now, but yeah, I'm not sure I can completely answer that for you, Miguel. It may depend a little on your specific property. I know for the service we operate, going off of public streets is kind of a last resort for us, and we just try to avoid that for safety reasons. But yeah, there's exceptions sometimes. I mean, we're always trying to find the solutions that's most optimal and safe.
I appreciate that, Drake. Really seriously, I appreciate that, and I understand you're trying your best, and so maybe I'll follow up with that later, some other time.
Sure thing. Well, it like any kind of Q&A session, when you ask a question, there's bound to be half a dozen people in the audience wondering the same thing. So thank you so much for joining in and speaking up. I see a question from Coco in the chat. How does the reminder arrive if using phone to make a reservation? Yeah, so if when you apply for this service, another question you'll be asked is whether you prefer to get your notifications via text or by phone call. And if you prefer phone call, you just check that box, and then you'll get a call. Those calls will typically be automated. If you need to speak with someone, we'll have someone on the other end you can talk to, a real person. But the standard notices and stuff, your vehicle's 5 minutes away or whatever, those will come via automated phone call. And then I see a question from a phone number ending in 8742, if you want to go ahead with your question.
Yes, hi. As the earlier caller mentioned about the visually impaired passengers, so if I put in an address on there for a pickup, they will come to that address, right? Not a closest intersection where I need to go, right?
That's correct. Smart Ride today, we describe the service model as corner to corner, meaning that
Right.
vehicles pick up at the nearest major intersection. For SacRT
Uh-huh.
Flex, it's going to be what we call curb to curb, which is basically as close as possible to the address that was requested.
Okay, because currently with Smart Ride, I'm a wave rider, so they come to the address where I specify, not a closest intersection. So they have to come closer because I can't see the street signs. So they have to come closer to the address I put on the app. So would that be the same thing for Flex?
Correct. Yeah. If you're riding as a wave rider and it's coming
Right.
directly to your address, it'll be the same
Uh-huh.
with Flex, where it
Same thing.
comes directly to the address you've requested.
Okay, all right, just to make sure. Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, we have a little more time here scheduled, so I'm certainly happy to take any other questions. I see there's one from Michelle. Michelle, go ahead with your question.
Okay.
And anyone else, I'll say, yeah, go ahead and raise your hands if you have any more questions. Sorry to
sorry.
interrupt you. Go ahead, Michelle.
No, it's okay. So I usually take the Smart Ride every week, almost every day, and instead of going to the address, they go to the corner. So my address is 943 Dondra Way, but the Smart Ride usually comes to Bell and May and Bell Street. That's where they pick me up at usually now. So the Flex is going to do the same thing, right? Just like what she was saying. They're going to just pick you up at the corner to corner instead of at the actual address itself, depending on where the address is. Because my house is right next to
It'll
a
come
dead
directly to your
outlet.
address.
Oh, the Flex will?
Yes.
It won't be like corner to corner, like it won't be at the street, like at the corner of the street. It'll just be in front of the house.
Correct.
Okay, because the Smart Ride, usually they stop at the street corner because like across May and Bell, May and Santa Mara, there's a sign there that says no outlet because my house is it's close to a dead end. When the Smart Ride goes there, sometimes they have trouble getting out. So that's why they don't go there because there's no outlet there.
Yeah, SacRT Flex will be different than Smart Ride. Smart
Okay.
Ride usually goes to the nearest major intersection. SacRT Flex will go directly to the address.
That's awesome. I can't wait to start using it. I'm just gonna use it when I need to because I can't afford to pay $5 each day. That's gonna take most of my money, especially if I'm on low income. And I already have money set aside. I'm already saving up some of my change for the Flex. So when y'all launch it, I'll be ready to pay on board.
Okay, well, thank you for your question, Michelle.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other questions? Don't be shy, folks. If you have any other questions, please feel free to raise your hand in Zoom. *9 to raise your hand over the phone, or you're welcome to type them in to the text box. I see another question from Miguel. Go ahead, sir.
So in my conversations with other people, the expense is going to make it rather difficult for people to use the Flex because it's not integrated with regional transit and like a monthly pass or a daily pass or or like other people's concerns with connect cards and zip passes and so on. And I understand it's a different entity, it's a contractor, so that's not available right now. And I get that, but I'm hoping, and I'm not sure why you guys are charging for those rides, outside of the other than they're a contractor, but there's got to be a way for it to work for people that are on a fixed income or low income or disabled, fixed income and low income, all three of the above, because it's not feasible. It's just you're already pinching pennies to buy milk, and anyways, I'm hoping, I'm posing the question more as a long-term, thought process for you, Mr. Drake, that, you'll look at there being an ability to make this affordable, or, with a monthly pass that people can use Flex, that sort of thing. All right, that's it.
Well, I appreciate you posing that question. It's a very thoughtful question. You know, on our bus and light rail system, with the 40-foot buses and the light rail, our cost to operate that service every day, if you think about it, it's basically a fixed cost, because we run the same amount of service every day. And whether it's a train or bus, it's a great big vehicle. So, other than, sometimes when the bus goes right by a high school or something, there's usually additional seats. There's usually extra capacity on buses. So in terms of RT trying to run itself like a business and do the most with the taxpayer money that we get, we generally always have capacity on the light rail or the bus. And when we can carry people on the full-size bus or the light rail, we're doing more with that same dollar. So for that reason, I think there is sort of a kind of a good management, good stewardship of funds angle for service like this to not be priced the same as bus or light rail. At the same time, pricing it where it is at $250, it does price it as a way, so that it's a way for people who otherwise might need paratransit, who might need SacRT Go. If they can use SacRT Flex, this can save them some money, and that's a win-win as well, because SacRT Go is it's a very expensive service for RT to run, and with both SacRT Flex and SacRT Go, every additional rider we have, we need more drivers in buses, and they're all very expensive. But SacRT Go is even more expensive than SacRT Flex. So when we're giving someone a less expensive ride on Flex, it also helps save money there, so that we have a little more service available on SacRT Go, who have no other option. But if someone can make a ride on a full-size bus or light rail instead of SacRT Flex, that saves a seat on SacRT Flex for someone who really has no other option. So with the limited resources we have, we do think that there is kind of a point and a purpose to price the full-size bus and light rail a little lower, and to price the SacRT Flex service kind of in between the full-size bus and SacRT Go. I mean, we are certainly sensitive to the needs of our customers. A change from $1.25 to $2.50 is not trivial. And then when you make a return trip, and then if you have to make a couple legs, it certainly starts to add up. So we've wanted to not, gouge people or make this too harmful to people's wallets and daily and weekly bills. But we do have to consider that, all of our service is more than 80% funded by taxpayers. Customers, the fares that we collect for the bus and light rail pay about 15 to 20% of our costs. And on Smart Ride right now, it pays for about 2% of our costs. So we are kind of trying to manage things to make sure that these things are financially sustainable.
So to help that be financially sustainable, I remember Mr. Lee saying, we need to get, other places are getting 2.5 cents, and we need to get the numbers up, from, the city, the state, the county of Sacramento, so that, it's, makes your lives easier, our lives easier. The young lady that I've done that with, I do that with Smart Ride all the time. I go from one zone to the other zone, because my doctor's office is in Folsom and I live in Citrus Heights. So, and in her case, in order to get to her appointment and to get back home, that's $2.50 there, $2.50 there, $2.50 back, and then $2.50 again. Then, then she's looking at $10 for a ride, and I'm like, I feel bad for her. You know what I mean? it's just, it's unfortunate. Uh, paratransit, it doesn't have those zone restrictions, so I can recommend that for her if she qualifies. Um, yeah, I really wish you guys the best. I mean, if there's anything I can do to help you guys increase your numbers, get a bigger piece of the pie, I'd love to. And I'm sure other people that are on this call would do whatever they can to help you get another penny or another 1.5 cents or even 5 cents, to make this, a better system for all of us and for everybody. Also, before I get off, and I can know you're on a time limit, there's they cut buses because of Smart Ride. Like there is no bus that runs down Madison Avenue between Hazel and Sunrise anymore. They got rid of it, and all the stores that I shop at are right there. There's the Rayleigh's and the Safeway and so on, there's no there's no way to get there. It's just on a bus on public transportation. And I can see this flex is going to be limited on the seats, availabilities, and so on. And I really don't know how I'm going to manage. But I mean, I'm going to do my best, but I feel bad for other people more so than myself. So, anyways, that's it, Mr. Drake. I'm going to get off now. Have a great day. God bless.
Well, thank you, Miguel. Always appreciate your comments. We do have a few more minutes here if folks have any other questions. Once again, don't be shy. We'll be breaking at 5 p.m., but questions are still welcome in the Q&A box. You can raise your hand on Zoom, or you can press *9 on your phone to raise your hand. The website, of course, once again, sacrt.com/flex. If you missed any of this, this presentation will be saved there. You can look at past presentations. And most importantly, if you want to use SacRT Flex, you can go there and find a link to our application page, or you can just go directly to it at sacrt.com/applyflex. Again, if you are having any trouble with the application, it's an online only application. If you're having any trouble with it, or someone you know is having trouble with it, please don't hesitate to call us. If you call us at 321-BUS, 321-2877, just ask for help with your SacRT Flex application. We'll get you transferred, and we'll have someone help you over the phone and complete an application on your behalf. One last question here from Rose. Rose, go ahead.
Hi. As I had mentioned earlier, when I downloaded the app this morning, it had all of my son's information. So if I wanted to try to do or be a part of the soft launch that you're doing on the 17th, how do I get that all kind of fixed before that soft launch?
Just send us an email back or call up, and we'll go into your profile and we'll change it from your son's name to your name, your date of birth, and we'll make a note in the file that occasionally your son rides on your account.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I definitely will email once the webinar is over.
Sure thing. No, thank you, Rose. Good question. Okay, Jillian says, thanks for the info. I think with that, I'll thank all of you for joining in. Appreciate all the interest. And, like Miguel said, transit works a lot better when there's public support. Your local tax money helps pay for transit, along with gas tax and sales tax here in California. And we don't get as much of it as we like. So that would certainly help. We're also always looking for grant money and looking for partners to help our riders pay for their fares. I see 2 more questions have popped up here. I think Michelle was first. Michelle, go ahead. We have just a few more minutes if you want to squeeze in your question.
Just, I just want to say thank you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do, RT, and I appreciate how you are serving the disabled community as well as those of us who are on low income as well, and those of us who are senior citizens. I appreciate everything you all do, and I appreciate the smart ride. I appreciate everything that you guys do with the smart ride. I really enjoy using you guys' service. And this flex, I know it's going to be a big change for me because I have to happen to pay a little extra $125 a ride, but I'll be okay with that. I
Well,
appreciate
we
everything else.
certainly have some limitations with our money, but these sessions, these Q&A sessions, honestly, they really help us. There's a lot of design decisions to make on how this product and service will work, and it really genuinely helps to get input from customers and actual users like yourself. So thank you for calling in. And I
No
think
problem.
I'll go to phone number ending in 7640 for one last question here. Go ahead. We've got you live now. Phone number 7640.
Yes, thank you, Board, for speaking with me. I just wanted to find out, just a question, what percentage of the sales tax goes toward RT at all? Because I
Here
know
in
that
here in
for
Sacramento, there's a Measure A, which I believe was 1989,
right?
enacted a half-cent sales tax that, broadly speaking, is for transportation. And of that half-cent sales tax, there's a formula for how it's divided, and just about 1/3 of that goes to regional transit. So if you think about it, 1/3 of a 1/2 cent sales tax is about 1/6 of a cent of every
1/6 of a
sale.
cent. That's what I was.
That comes to
1/6 of a cent.
SacRT from local Measure A. Now, when you pay in, there's a statewide sales tax that I think that's also maybe a 1/2 cent, but that goes to all transit agencies. So there's that. But here locally, the only local measure we have is about 1/6 of a cent. People are often surprised by that, but even down in like LA, which you think of as kind of the freeway capital of the world, they for quite some time have had a full cent sales tax dedicated specifically to transit. And a couple of years ago, they doubled that with a new local measure. So even down in LA, they're paying basically 12 times as much per capita in sales tax, and they have like 10 million people down there. So when you see a lot of fancy transit down in LA, they're paying a lot for it. But here in Sacramento, we try to do the best we can with what we have, and so it certainly does help to have folks call in. And with that, I think I do need to wrap up the session here. Let our staff get on with their lives here and get on home and get to their chores and evening activities. But I want to thank everyone once again for joining in. Like I said, these quality questions really do help from real customers, and we're here to help field your questions. We like to do things rapid fire here at Regional Transit, and so this new program is being rolled out pretty quickly, and I don't think anything we've ever done has ever been perfect the first time out. So if errors come up and issues, you just reach out to us, let us know. We'll try to get them fixed as soon as possible. But the sessions we've had here have been really helpful for helping us anticipate issues and put together a program we think will be helpful for people. So thank you, everyone. Happy holidays from SacRT, and please don't hesitate to reach out with any follow-up questions.